Greetings, folks. Okay, this is Woody from Obadiah's. As you can see, I got some kindling in here. How do you build a fire in an Elmira cookstove? Well, from the looks of it, it's got a very deep firebox, and you got the damper control down at the bottom for your sliding grate. So I'm going to open that grate all the way up, put in my wood, something to get some fire going in there. What you're trying to do is get some good dry kindling. That'll get you some coals built up, and that'll light off real easy. So how much wood can you put in the stove? That's the key. Now you're going to use this for a heating stove. Well, this is a piece of wood right here. I mean, 17 inches long. So that's your average piece of firewood. At least out here in Montana, 17 inches. So I figured, well, that's what we use. Problem is, it don't go all the way in the firebox. So, what's that mean? It means you got to cut your wood smaller for this to work. You literally have to cut your wood 15 inches so it'll fit in the firebox. You want to get it down in there. So, you might be able to run two sizes, but even 15 inches is kind of pushing it. You might be able to get the bigger one in top. There you go. That's it. 2 pieces of wood and that puppy's jammed. So how long is that going to burn for? Not very long. That's not that many BTUs in wood. So we're going to light the stove, we'll burn it. We'll see how she does. I don't want to put that much wood in it to start. I'm showing you some considerations that you should know. Let's say you have a remote cabin in the woods and you want to get a cook stove, and you're at an auction and you see this and you're like, whoa, should I get this or should I get a wood stove to heat my house with? Go with the wood stove, because if you're going to try to heat your house with this, make a lot of work for yourself. The idea when you're in survival mode, you live like I do in the Tules and you're heating with wood, last thing you want to do is deal with your wood stove. You only want to deal with it twice a day, in the morning and at night if you're heating. You should get 12-hour burns. If you have a stove that you're constantly tending every 4 hours, you can't leave. You always got to put wood in, otherwise you come back and the stove's cold. And you got to relight the fire from scratch. So you always want to have a nice bed of coals and you just throw some wood in there. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to throw 2 small pieces in. And we're going to light that up and we're going to see what happens. The other inconvenience is loading the stove. Let's try to do this the other way. So every time, you know, in this particular situation, if I can't open the door to get in, and I put the plate back on, like that, where it goes, and I have to load this from the front door. Maybe you can get a better understanding now. So, you just basically put your kindling in there, which we've already done. I don't want to pull all that out. And then you have to shove the wood in. Because you're not going to probably open this unless the stove is totally cold. So there you go. I mean, you can't get a very big piece of wood in. You couldn't even get this in there. It won't even fit. So, another issue. So you're going to have to cut your wood small, or you're going to have to use rounds that are small enough to go inside. But we'll start with these. Now, if you're just using the stove to cook, this is no big deal. You don't want that much wood in here anyhow. I'm actually going to use this stove for heating. Now comes the fun part. How do you light the kindling down below? Well, I have a trick. It's these little fire starters. They're made out of paraffin wax. Make sure your chimney is open. Uh-oh. Okay, we gotta get the chimney draft. I don't know if you saw that smoke or not, but I have a pretty good chimney, so it should draft okay. I hope, anyhow. This has worked on every other stove without any problems. So there we go. Stove is going. Chimney is drafting. I have this little damper deal here open. Get the fire going. And if you look down inside, I think you can see a flame. Yeah, there's some flames going on in there. I hear wood crackling. Okay, we'll come back in a few minutes. I'm going to get this top cleaned off before it gets too hot. It's been probably a half hour. Smoke coming out of the chimney, but not much. Got all the dampers open. What we got going? We got smoke coming out of the corner, but that's typical when you open the door. We got a little red coals going on between the two fires, but our kindling isn't going. So the firebox is really deep in this thing, so it's kind of difficult to get it going. That's what I'm seeing here. I added a couple fire starters. So in that case, you use the old trusty propane torch. And kindling from below, which seems to be kind of a pain. It'd be nice if there was a door down here or something lower in the firebox. You can't really get your torch in. If you open the door, it's going to smoke. You just get in between the grates and light off your kindling. I can feel the chimney starting to draw the cold air going over my hand. You see the smoke coming out of the stove too. Pouring out of the corner here. And we have ignition, folks. And we have smoke, folks. Let's shut the damper down, see if maybe that might help. There we go. What happens is when you get more oxygen, and the chimney has the draft to pull up the chimney. What ends up happening is you've got more air coming into your firebox, and so the oxygen overcomes the chimney, the smoke starts coming out of the stove. We have ignition, So far, that is one issue I can see. You gotta light the stove from below, and it's not very easy. Nice big ash pan. It's got a cast iron bottom on the stove. You see the smoke coming out of the stove again. So, got a damper on the front of it, a bell damper, or draft control, whatever you want to call it. Call it draft knob. So we got plenty of air going in there. Still a little bit of smoke. If you're getting smoke, what you want to do is dial these down a little bit, so you don't have quite as much oxygen going into the firebox. It's going to be kind of difficult once these get hot, getting my hand in there. Good thing I got big red heavy gloves. You got a stove like this, you got to have gloves like this, so otherwise you burn your hands. But anyhow, she's a pretty one. Couple minutes here, we'll look at the oven. It's got a fairly large oven, one rack. It's got two positions, high and low. Even the top is porcelain. The entire oven is porcelain. So that's good. Nice oven. You can get a turkey in there, or quite a bit of bread. I'm going to do some tests. We'll see how the oven works. I'm going to put some bricks in the oven, and then we'll engage it and we'll see what happens. So, and then we'll take readings off of each brick and we'll be able to tell how well the oven will heat. So, and just this is our first burn. It's a used stove, so I don't have to worry about breaking it in. If it was a brand new stove, you don't want to light a roaring fire like I did. You would have a very small fire for the first fire, have a larger fire for the second fire, and an even larger fire for the third fire. It's always a good idea to put a chimney on it and burn it outside the first time around, because you want to burn the oils off from the manufacturing process. So we'll test the oven, we'll see how accurate the gauge is, and I'm not a chef, so I'm not going to be baking any bread or anything, but hopefully we can tell by the brick how well the oven heats. So anyhow, this is Woody from Obadiah's. We'll talk to you later. Bye.